Hey everybody, what is going on? My apologies for being a few minutes late. I was actually on a phone call and I lost track of the time and I looked down. I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta go! I'm 3 minutes late for my live." So anyway, here I am. We're here, and I know Rich is here. Rich, how you doing? I did see you earlier. Obviously, I waved to you when you were in the Neshaminy State Park. I just didn't have time to stop to talk. We were like towards the end of our day there. We end our day at 3 o'clock, so. I had to quick finish things up, and I had to talk to the boss before the day was over, so I didn't have time to talk. So I apologize for that. Anyway, hope everyone is doing well tonight. I just decided on a whim to come on here and do a live. Don't know why. I wanted to do a video today. The problem was I was wearing a T-shirt from work, so it said DCNR on it. And I am not allowed to do videos where I have any garb from work on there. So, like, if it's the T-shirt or the hat or whatever that you may see me wearing when I'm at the park, I'm not allowed to do videos with that. My hair is like fluffing out on the sides here. Um, sorry, I get a little vain sometimes. Um, but I'm not allowed to have any of that in my videos. So I was wearing the T-shirt today, and I decided, you know what, maybe I'll just do it tomorrow, and I'll wear a regular T-shirt to work tomorrow. Let's see. Let's catch up here on comments. Now that I'm on StreamYard and not just doing a YouTube live, I can bring up the comments here. You did see the Toms today. Yes, there are 2 Toms now at Neshaminy State Park. We have a new guy. He just started last week. He's awesome. He's a great worker. We all love him. He's a hard worker, and I can't wait to start the busy season with this guy. And we're going to be getting another new guy in at some point soon, hopefully. We had one of our older coworkers leave, and I was sad to see him go. I've been working with him since I started there, and we had a good rapport, and we worked well together. We got things done. Last season on Sundays and Mondays, it was pretty much just me, him, and the guy that is now our boss, who last season was not, but this season he is. And this new guy, he's phenomenal. He's awesome, and I hope the next new guy that comes in is going to be as equally awesome. Kathy, how are you? How you doing? So, little different thing, and I mentioned it on my last live feed, and I don't know which way this is going to come through on the feed, but for me, it's down this way. If you look down there, you will see a little dollar sign. If you would like to, nobody has to do it. It's not mandatory, but if you decide you want to donate to the channel, there's a little dollar sign down there. You can click on that. That's you can do a super chat or a super sticker, and you can give whatever you want: $1.99, $5, $5 million. Whatever you want to give is cool, and nobody has to feel pressured to give. I do just love making videos for this channel. It's just that I've recently become monetized, and I'm trying to make the most of it. I'm trying to, once I get to a point, wait, what? Let me catch up here. Got to train them. What's been new time? Hey, not much. It's been the same old, same old. We're just chugging along at the park. We're trying to get everything ready. We have all the bathrooms open in the Neshaminy State Park. We just opened the bathrooms today over at Benjamin Rush State Park because we take care of that as well. Next big thing we're going to be working on is getting the pool ready for the season over at Neshaminy State Park. So that means that the water that's in there right now that is infested with leaves and goose poop, we have to drain that. We have to clean it all out. We're going to be repainting the pool this year, and then we'll get things going and get it filled and all that. And then the hectic time can start at Neshaminy State Park. So for the locals, if you have not been there on the weekends, I advise you to go check it out just once. on a Saturday or Sunday during the summer, like when the pool's open, just so you could see the chaotic things that go on there. I mean, there is tons of trash everywhere. People are just slobs. The bathrooms are trashed in many disgusting ways. And we're the guys that clean all this up. We're the guys that keep all this in order. So we do our best to keep the park looking as beautiful as we can. And it's not always easy. It really is not. Sometimes when a Sunday happens, we're still cleaning up on Tuesday from Sunday. So just to give you an idea, and that's even with like 3 or 4 people working. So it's not an easy job. It's a nasty job, but we get it done, and we take pride in the compliments that we get from the people that come there on a regular basis just to walk around. They say, "Hey, I saw it this weekend, man. It was trash. You guys really cleaned this up. You do a great job." We love that stuff. Let's see what else we got here. We got Rich says you got it. Nice. That's right. We do our best. What's up, Scott? How you doing? Oh, you live in Croydon. I actually kind of grew up in Croydon. I don't know if I mentioned that before. I don't know if you mentioned that you live in Croydon before, but even though I live in far northeast Philly, my grandparents lived in Croydon, Old Croydon, right near where the playground is, right near like Emily Ave and State Road. That school that's there used to be a school for special people, and I grew up going into that schoolyard. And when my son was born, I would take him there like at least once a week. We had great fun there and everything like that. So I kind of grew up in that area and far northeast Philly. So I kind of got the best of both worlds there, if you consider Croydon the best of a world. Um, there's people that would disagree with that, but yeah, Croydon's a cool place. I think. Like I had good times there. I had a lot of friends in the area, just all within like Old Croydon, like along State Road and stuff, and it was good times. Let's see. Any new finds in Neshaminy? Actually, there is. So, at one point, I did a video where I was looking for any remnants at all of Summerdale Day Camp, which was a camp that was more so over towards like the haunted lane area of the park. Um, and I was not able to find anything other than those steps that I came across, which the steps were for like the main mess hall of the camp, which before that, prior to that, was a German club, like an actual German club, like Heil Hitler kind of German club, not just like the German clubs of today. People had told me that when they were younger, they found like Nazi flags there and stuff like that. But when it was the day camp, that was the mess hall, and then going out towards the creek was like the rest of the camp from there. And one of the regulars there at the park had shown me something that was like right in the area where the main office of the day camp was. It's a circular brick thing in the ground. It's not a well. It's too wide to be a well, and it actually has some concrete in it. But then it looks like dirt after that. So I'm guessing that was probably like some kind of water pump or something. Maybe there was like a little house around it. It was a pump house or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm gonna put that in one of the videos very soon. I thought about doing that today, but as I mentioned earlier in the video, I was wearing the garb of the park, and I could not make videos when I wear anything that says like DCNR on it or anything like that. So I did not make a video today, but that's definitely coming up in one of the videos. I think I want to do a couple of more far northeast styled videos. And I'm getting texts. There's family stuff about Easter. Anyway, so I definitely want to get some far northeast things in because people seem to be really responding to those. but I'm definitely going back into Neshaminy. I'm definitely doing a lot more Bensalem videos. There's stuff in Humeville that I still want to do. There's stuff all over that I really want to get to. I just want to get more research going. But yeah, there's new stuff there. And this week, I think tomorrow, possibly, there's going to be more flowers put into the garden. The volunteers, I can't say the other volunteers because I'm not a volunteer anymore, but because you can't be a volunteer and work there. But anyway, the volunteers are going to be bringing in more flowers. The flowers that were already there that are now going to be in their third season, they're starting to rebloom. Like you can see the green coming up and everything. The hostas in that center island are starting to come through. You can see the little green spikes growing. So it's an exciting time. And in the next, I'm going to say in the next month or so, that place is going to look totally different than it does right now. And I can't wait for that. I really can't. Let's see. No, there's no little girl spirits on Haunted Lane. I mean, I've driven past it or through Haunted Lane, I should say, many times. I've never seen anything spooky or anything like that. Neshaminy State Park has a lot of hidden secrets, and it has a lot of history, a lot of stories. I was actually just talking about that today with the new guy and one of the veteran employees there. There's so much history there, so many stories, and some of them go way back. Like, let's just say, for instance, we all know that Washington crossed the Delaware over at Washington's Crossing Park, right? Like right there. He also had regiments throughout different parts of the Delaware that were supposed to be crossing and doing the same thing he was doing, like marching into Jersey to confront the people that they were confronting. One of the people that he had, one of the regiments he had, was led by this guy, and I can't remember his name to save my life, but he was right there at Neshaminy State Park, what is now Neshaminy State Park. And he failed to cross the Delaware because it was so icy and choppy. And at that time, the Delaware River was actually a lot wider than it is now. So they actually built the land into the Delaware for Neshaminy State Park sometime after the state gained control of it, I believe. So like we'll say late 60s, early 70s. And they made the Delaware River actually thinner than it was. I want to say it was more in the 60s. But so it's like the opposite of dredging, basically. They were extending the land. And so it was a lot wider than he had a problem crossing. And I know George Washington was not happy with him at the time because he did not make it. Other places did, but he did not. And it's roughly around where Dunks Ferry Road ends right there. Now, Dunks Ferry Road, for those of you who don't know, was named after an actual guy. I don't know if his first name was Duncan or his last name was Dunk. I think his first name was Duncan, and they just called him Dunk. And he had a ferry that went across from Philadelphia to New Jersey, like a little ferry that would take people and horses and stages and stuff like that across the Delaware. And that was where the name Dunks Ferry came from. And there was actually a Dunks Ferry Inn right there as well, which is now a private residence. But like it was an inn. The basement floor, from what I understand, from what I've seen in there, the basement looked like the tavern. The first floor was like the common floor, and then the second floor was like where the rooms were. There wasn't many rooms, maybe 2 or 3. I know George Washington passed through there. He didn't necessarily stay there. He stayed more at the Red Lion Inn, which was out near like where Frankfort and Knights Road meet. Texts are still coming in from the family. It was out by where like Frankfort and Knights Road meet, like right there. Across the street from what is now Taggart's Tavern. At one time it was City Line Tavern. Kind of like if you were coming out of the tavern, it's off to the right on, that's Bristol Pike there actually, because that's where Frankfort Ave turns into Bristol Pike. And I know George Washington stayed there, but yeah, I'm just my mind's like all over the place with all this information that I know I have in here, but like I want to convey it. It's just it's hard. But let me catch up on the comments here. Let's see. Scott says, what's going to be cleared next? The baseball field area was great. Oh, the tennis court. Yeah, where the badminton court, just outside of where the garden area is. I mean, they did clear that entire area, which is how they found that. And I told the boss that we had at the time, who's no longer with us. I said, listen, man, I said, there is a concrete slab somewhere in there. I said, I don't know what it is, but I saw a hand-drawn map of the property and it said concrete slab and it's in those weeds somewhere. And it was like mile a minute weeds and all kinds of like things happening in there that were cleared out. And he said, no, I don't think it. Well, guess what? It was because we've all seen it in my other videos. And if you haven't, you can go back and check it out. Some older videos from like, we'll say like a year and a half ago or so. But I'll probably showcase it again in another video coming up. But you can definitely see where that was. And it wasn't far from where I found the holes that led to the underground tunnels, which were part of Blossom Farley's creation there. He had an underground system of 15 different rooms connected by hallways, all laid out like a maze pretty much. But that portion of it right there was taken out. So the old boss had caved it in and then refilled it in and everything. But that was just one hallway. So there's still stuff out there to be found. And one of the regulars in the park has told me that he thinks he found another entrance into the underground, but he's not 100% sure yet. So he's checking it out and he's going to let me know. Let's see. What do we got? Oh, this is the person I was on the phone with right here. This is Teresa Crowley. She's Round Town Real Estate. You can check her channel out. Make sure you go there, subscribe to her. She's an awesome person. We've hung out a couple times. I've helped her out with her YouTube channel and stuff like that. Which she needs to seriously build up her YouTube channel, as we talked about. But yeah, Tenicoit. I'm not sure how to say that. But yeah, a Tenicoit court is like anything like a tennis court, basically. And that concrete slab had lines in it that were very reminiscent of a tennis court. And when I took the measurements of it and everything, and I looked it up, that's when I found out it was a badminton court. So, hey, Lori, how you doing? Really? That's actually a photo I have not seen. I've seen tons of photos from Sorobia. That's one I have not seen. If you come across it again, go to my Facebook page for This Is Tom's World. Shoot me a message and send me that picture because I would love to see it. Yes, I'm having a beer. It's been a long day. Hey, no problem, Teresa. Always here. So what else is going on? I do have some newer places to check out, and they are within the Bensalem township limits. More so, like almost on the verge of becoming Northeast Philadelphia. So it's in Andalusia, just off the State Road. My new coworker Tom, he turned me on to this, and he showed me where these are. There's apparently like foundations and stuff of a building that's in the woods. But I want to check it out first. I don't often do that. Usually I just go in blind and I make the videos. But for this one, I want to go in and check it out first on my own, and then I'll make a video of it. And he said it almost looks like that there was like a neighborhood in there. at one time, which wouldn't surprise me at all. Because there even today there are a lot of new neighborhoods along State Road going into Andalusia and stuff like that. So one would think that there were older ones that have since passed and nature took over and everything like that. It's at the Bensalem Historic. That's really weird because I've looked through almost all of their pictures. But you know what? When I looked through the pictures there, that was before I even knew about that concrete slab or what it was. So I may have seen it, but I think I looked through every one of their pictures of Serobia because that's the biggest file that they have is of Robert Logan, Sarah Logan, and their land there in the Chamonix State Park. That's where they originated when they started. The building that they were in, I think it was either the barn or it was the carriage house over at the garden. One of the two. I think it was the carriage house. And that's where they were centered at one point. But they wound up leaving there for various reasons. But yeah, I'll have to go back and look. I do have to talk to them again because I know that they take care of Groudon Mansion, and I really, really, really want to get into Groudon Mansion, but every time I've contacted them, there's some kind of work going on there, whether it be on the roof or this. Right, the last time I contacted them, they were having work done on the roof, and they couldn't allow people in, but they said I could go and film on the outside all I want. Well, I want to go inside. And the main reason I want to go inside is they have the complete dining room set from Robert Logan and Sarah Logan's mansion that was there at Serobia in the Chamonix State Park. And I would love to see that. I would love to go there and to be able to like run my hand across the table and like kind of fanboy a little bit and be like, wow, man, this is where they ate and everything, because I became obsessed with this for quite some time, as you all may or may not know. And to the point where like a lot of times when I go in the garden, I may talk out loud to Robert and Sarah Logan and say good afternoon and things like that. I don't know if they hear me. I don't know if they're there. If I were them and I were a spirit and I were to be in one place more than others, I would be there, because that was an amazing place, and there was a lot of amazing things that happened there. Let's see. Yeah, it seems that there were some old neighborhoods there that just since have gone away and nature took over. On Bristol Pike, in like around Cornwall Heights area. I'm talking about that, like when you're going down 13. Let's say you're coming from, I don't know. Let's say you're coming from Street Road and heading down towards Philly. It's on the right side, and it's got like a stone wall going around it. Is that the one you're talking about? Because I have seen some stuff about that one. There was a gentleman who was in the various different Bensalem groups on Facebook. Yes, that's the one. Okay, yeah, there was a gentleman named Jack Marr who posted quite regularly in the different Bensalem groups, and he would always start it off with "Did you know?" like all one word, "Did you know?" And he would say like facts about Bensalem. I had the privilege to talk to this gentleman on various occasions. He has since passed away just in the last, we'll say like 5 months or so, I think. But he was actually part of the founding people of the Bensalem Historical Society, or the Historical Society of Bensalem Township, as it's called. And he also spent time in Serobia as a young guy, because he lived like right next to Logan's property, and he was friends with the caretaker's son. So he spent a lot of time there. He remembered Blossom Farley. He said he was like a cranky kind of old man. He did have tuberculosis, so I mean, he had a right to be a little cranky. But he said he remembers working on cars and stuff like that in the barn that was like behind the only building that's left, that little tiny building just outside the garden. The barn was right behind there. He would be in there working on cars with the caretaker's son. He recalled a specific story where they were using like an old broke down beat up air compressor, and Robert Logan went by on his wheelchair and saw that they were doing this. He bought them a brand new air compressor because Robert Logan was awesome. But like, so he had posted things about that cemetery because he posted things about Bensalem randomly. It wasn't just to do with Neshaminy State Park. He talked about various things, like even the mile marker that's over near where Curran's Bar is. That used to be Frankie's Mercury Saloon, like right near the old Catherine Drexel the old Catherine Drexel shrine. There we go. There's like a stone mile marker there, and that was part of the King's Highway. And he talked about that kind of stuff. So he did talk about that graveyard. I'm gonna have to go back and see if I can search to see what he said, and back it up against some history that's like out there online. But yeah, I definitely want to do that. Yeah, you remember Jack? Jack was an awesome guy. He really was. The first time I talked to him, I was actually talking to him on a video Facebook call. He said he definitely wanted to talk to me when he saw what was going on over in the garden, and I decided what better way to talk to him than get him on a video call and walk around the garden, because he had not been there since like the 80s. They moved away to another state, so he hasn't been here for a long time, and even at that point, he wasn't able to travel really far, and he wasn't able to get back up here. So I figured, why not show him the garden? And I walked him around. He was telling me different things, like, oh, I remember this was here and that was there, and like he actually had a really good time on that call, and as did I. Yeah, he definitely was a wealth of history. He knew like everything about Bensalem and the surrounding areas. And I definitely miss him. And I'm sorry I didn't get to talk to him at least one more time, because there had been quite some time between the last time we talked and the time he passed away. I just got caught up in working and doing stuff for the channel and stuff like that. But he was regularly in contact with the volunteers there, to help them out in any way that he could. So at least they got to talk to him on a regular basis. But yeah, I mean that entire park, there is just so much that went on. The Summerdale Day Camp that I talked about earlier, about where that little well like thing is. Summerdale Day Camp was owned by a gentleman whose name escapes me right now, but his nephew, who he raised, because his nephew grew up without parents. His parents passed away early in his life. Was Gene London. Now, Gene London, a lot of people like in my generation probably don't know who he is. My generation and younger, but the older people will remember him from the '60s. He had different kids shows locally, and he would sometimes like paint pictures and tell stories. And working at this camp is, oh, thank you so much for the $2 donation. I appreciate it. The super chat here, I'll bring it up on here. There we go. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I see your name is E Kun, but is that what I should call you? Or you can tell me your real name if you want, or just a name to call you or whatever. But thank you so much for that. But yeah, Gene London, he honed his skills for storytelling and painting at this day camp, Summerdale Day Camp, which was within the property limits now of Neshaminy State Park. The entire camp, I went searching for any remnants of it, and I couldn't find anything outside of those stairs. But now I know there's more in the woods, and it makes me want to hunt for more stuff to see if there's any remnants of it, because I was told that there was a building there that had like a mural on the side of it that was painted by Gene London, who has since passed away in recent years. We'll say in the last like 5 years or so, I think he passed away. And he was a really good children's show host, and one of the volunteers that is at the garden, he actually lived in a house that would be on the property of the Neshaminy State Park right now, right along the creek, because there was like a line of houses there, and he was actually on Gene London's show like 2 or 3 times. So like as part of the kids in the audience and everything. So um, it's just weird. There are so many different tie-ins to different videos of mine and stuff like that. Like let's just take for instance on a whim. I did a video of Silver Lake out there in Bristol, right on like 13 and Bath Road, right? So Benjamin Rush had built bathhouses out there, which is how Bath Road got its name, for healing properties. Because they're he believed in the local springs and stuff like that they had healing properties, so he built bathhouses there. And now you can tie that to obviously Benjamin Rush State Park, and he's been tied into other videos of mine. Plus, you have the whole William Penn factor. Now, just about every video I make could be tied to William Penn, because William Penn pretty much owned all of PA in a legal sense, in that like King George over in England, to repay a debt to his father, gave him PA, but he didn't accept it as that he owned it. So he went around to the different Indian tribes in Pennsylvania, especially this part of Pennsylvania. So in this part of Pennsylvania, all along the Pequesson Creek, and outward from that, there was an Indian tribe, which I believe it was pronounced Lenape. And he learned their language to be able to talk to them, to negotiate buying the land from them, even though he legally owned it as far as King George was concerned. So, I mean, there's just so many different connections. The old cemetery I went to, like the old burial yard, as I quoted it in the title that I went to, and I can't remember the guy's name that it's named after, John something. He's tied into creating the Byberry Friends Meeting House, which is out there on Thornton and Byberry Roads, which I did a video for that. So like there's just so many different tie-ins, and it really blows my mind when I start thinking about it. And I think I grew up in this area and I knew nothing about any of this history. There's different roads that are named after different families. Townsend, that was a big farming land there. Thornton was a big farming land there. Dinosaur Lake, Standish Ford Hansel. There's a Hansel Road right off of Humeville Road just after 13. Like when you first turn on the Humeville Road, it's like on the left. I think I see the sign. So, I mean, there's just so many different tie-ins, and it really blows my mind, and I love it. I love learning all this stuff. Let me catch up on comments here. Yes, yeah, Jack was great. Yeah, it's right across from the fire station. And you could just literally walk right into it. I mean, even though the gate gets closed, I mean, the wall is so low, you could just walk right in there. I wouldn't do that unless I had permission, because I don't trespass. Let's see. Sam Brown. Yeah, I believe you're right. Yeah. That was Gene London's uncle. And they raised him because his parents passed away. I think they had an accident or something. They passed away when he was really young, so they raised him. So Lenape, or is it Lenape? Yeah. I mean, I always just pronounce it Lenape because that's what it looked like. I've watched other YouTubers try to pronounce it and add syllables to it and stuff like that. It's like, no. You're overthinking things. I've recently come across some other YouTubers that do some exploring in the area, or the hiking and stuff like that. And I've been watching their videos because they go to a lot of places. Okay, so it's Lenape. Okay, cool. See that? I did something right. But yeah, it just blows my mind, the amount of history in this area. I mean, I can look out my window here in the back of the house, and I'm overlooking so much history just looking out there and seeing the wooded areas and stuff. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to disclose exactly where I live, but like just in the immediate area, even before the farmlands and everything, like there's. I just never realized how much history there was in the area, and the older I get, and the more I find out, the more I want to learn, and the more I want to document, because you never know when these things are going to go away. Like, look at Dinosaur Lake. I've been going to Dinosaur Lake since like my third video on my channel, back in 2020, February of 2020, back when it was still a lake. Not anymore. It's gone. I mean, if you've all seen my last video and the one before that, it's completely gone. You can literally walk right onto the island from the one side, just, and you're up there. And it seems that a lot of the pieces of the dinosaurs from Dinosaur Island are still there, which blows my mind because I thought they were just all destroyed. But as the water receded, I was able to see this. Remind viewers of its location. Dinosaur Lake. Okay, so Dinosaur Lake is in the woods behind Franklin Mills Mall, or Philadelphia Mills Mall, whatever you want to call it. People in my generation were always going to call it Franklin Mills. Philadelphia Mills just seems weird. I mean, the thing used to be Franklin Mills, come fly a kite with us. Ben Franklin, you know. Anyway, so if you go down to the furthest point towards Bensalem, in Franklin Mills, there's a building down there which is now a church. It used to be the old movie theater. I've done videos on both sides of that. So I did one on the other side of Knights Road of that in the woods there. But if you want to find Dinosaur Lake, there's two ways you can go in. Well, there's more than two ways. You could do a Google Earth and you'll find it. You'll see the lake there, even though it's no longer there. But when you look at Google Maps, it's still there because they haven't updated things. And you can go in from the Bensalem side, which is a lot easier. It's just a longer trek. Or you can park over at that church, which used to be the movie theater, park between that and the woods. And if you look, it's near one of the light poles. You'll see a trail that goes down. So if you follow that trail down and go to the left, and keep watching to your right as you're walking down that trail, because when you make a left, you're going down another trail. Keep watch on the right, and when you see a beach, look down there, and you'll start seeing stones that go across the creek. You cross that creek. Once you get up that hill, that's Dinosaur Lake right there. You'll see how it, like, the hill goes down, and then you'll see the island out there. Well, the island, no longer an island because it's not surrounded by water. So by definition, it's no longer an island. But Dinosaur Lake was definitely man-made. It was made by Standish Ford Hansel. Standish Ford Hansel. He owned that land all the way out towards Bensalem. So like the Bensalem Country Club, like that golf course, that was all his land. Where the barn was, like the old bar called the Barn, that was his land. And I do believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe he actually opened that bar called the Barn. And the Barn was awesome because there could be like 3 or 2 different bands and a DJ in different rooms, and they don't interfere with each other audio wise. And you could be seeing like a pop group and a rock group, and then there's a room with a DJ and stuff like that. And it had all kinds of little knickknacks all over the place. And there was an old fire engine right next to the bar. That belonged to Standish Ford Hansel. And that was his original plan for Dinosaur Lake. So and I mentioned this in the video too, and you can go back and watch it, even in my first video, Dinosaur Lake, which is very crude, but still informational because I go into the history of it. His original intent was to drive that old fire engine out to where he was going to dig the lake, and then leave that as an island and dig the lake out around it. And when he was asked why he would do that, he said just so people would wonder how it got there. Instead, he decided to dig the lake out first and leave the island, and then he had the sculptures of the dinosaurs crafted out of mesh and wood, took them out to the island by boat. Well, first by tractor, then by boat, and then had the concrete poured into them and around them and sculpted into the dinosaurs and the snake that went around the tree stump. So yeah, that's how Dinosaur Lake came to be. Standish Fort Hansel, he was a very rich man. He was very well known, and a lot of people said he was a very nice man. He died in, I think it was 1983. But up until that point, you could find him in the barn, just hanging out, talking to people and stuff like that. The kind of guy who give you your shirt off his back kind of person, from what I understand. Yeah, the barn was great. I love the barn. Well, I can't say I went to anything there in the 70s because I was born in 75. So if I was there in the 70s, I don't remember, but I highly doubt it. But that just means I'm younger than you. No, I bust her stones because I love her. She's a great person. Teresa is awesome. So what else we got going on here? I see we got 10 people in here. Not everybody's commenting, which is cool. I mean, you can just sit back and watch. But if anybody has any questions, any suggestions of places to go that I have not been yet, please feel free to either put them in the comments here, or you can send them to me on my Facebook for This Is Tom's World. So just facebook.com/This Is Tom's World, like all one word, no spaces, no punctuation, anything like that. Just like my YouTube channel is. And you can send me a message with, hey, you should go here or whatever, because people do it all the time. Humeville Manor. I'm not sure what would be considered Humeville Manor. Now, I did just recently do a video in Humeville. I did two actually. I did one near the old mill that's right there across from that bar right there. What is it? The Humeville Inn? Yeah, Humeville Inn. But I also did a video with the people who are trying to save Humeville Hill, which runs behind the firehouse and goes behind like the church, like all along Main Street, like in the back of there. They're trying to save that because somebody's trying to build houses on there that they feel is going to interfere with a lot of things. It's going to interfere with population first. It's going to interfere with traffic, but mostly they're concerned about the flooding because of all the concrete they'd be putting up there. That hill and its surrounding wetlands do absorb a lot of the water. And if dude builds on there, they're concerned that the flooding is going to get worse. So you can check that out, and they do have different things like a petition you can sign and everything. They're supposed to be making a GoFundMe for it as well, but they are like a nonprofit organization now, and they're fighting this. They don't expect that they're going to stop this guy from building houses on the hill, but they're trying to minimalize it as much as they can. So he's calling for like I think it was over 130 houses that he wants to put on their houses, apartments, different types of houses and stuff like that. So they're trying to minimalize that so that like it's less of an impact. They're really fun people, and I had a good time hanging out with them. That video was in the making between December of last year and just like a month ago. When I put the video up sometime in the last month. So it took a little while. It took a lot of back and forth. I lost some footage over time. I was having an issue with the computer, so I did lose some footage, and we had to reshoot some of it. But it came out. I think it came out okay. And they got their point across as to all the reasons why they're trying to fight this and everything. But I don't know where Humeville Manor would be, though. I mean, there's a coffee house right there, right near the old mill. Which, speaking of the mill, before I go off on that tangent, I wish that somebody would buy the mill, fix it up, make it look like it used to back in its heyday, and turn it into a museum just for Humeville. You know, like have pictures and paintings and things like that. That would be awesome if somebody did that. But there's a coffee house right up the street from that, right before Main Street. And that coffee house actually was Humeville Lodge, and that goes back a long, long time, like 1700s. And they had vaudeville people playing there. Houdini was there. Supposedly Abbott and Costello were there. Houdini performed one of his bigger tricks there, not the one that took him out, obviously, but I mean, there's just so much history there that like people don't even realize. And whenever I make these videos, I get messages like crazy. I get messages in the YouTube, like comments on the video itself. I get comments on the Facebook posts that I put up to support the videos. I get comments in like private messages and stuff from people, and I can't thank people enough for this, because I've learned more from the watchers than I have in anything I can find on my own. And I've used a lot of that information, like when I go back to places, places like Dinosaur Lake, Sorobia over in the Chamonix State Park, the abandoned prison farm. Where else have I gone? Croydon Manor. There's so many different places I've gone to multiple times, and people give me information that I do use. Like, I mean, I look it up and make sure it's credible, of course. But I do use the information a lot. Yeah, Humeville Manor, I don't know. Well, I mean the town of Humeville. Teresa, if you look back, like when you get time, I know you're busy. I know you're very, very busy. But when you get time, look back in recent videos, like say the last couple of months or whatever. I do I do I I do a video over at the mill for what they call Heritage Park, the smallest park I've ever been in my life. I think my front lawn, living in Northeast Philly, I think my front lawn is bigger than the park. But I did something there, and I went into the history there. And then we also touched on the history in the video that I did with the Save Humeville Hill. Squib, what is up? Yeah, the abandoned prison farm is awesome. I do love that place. I haven't been there in quite a while. I'm always near it because I'm always over at Benjamin Rush State Park. So, and you know those paths connect between the Bequesson Creek Trail and Benjamin Rush State Park. But I haven't been there in quite some time. I assume nothing's really changed, so I haven't gone back there. I've given as much of the history as I could in the couple videos or the few videos that I did there. But it definitely is a place that I think everybody should go visit at least once. You know, just check it out. It was I believe the prisoners. Well, originally it was for Byberry Mental Hospital. So when Byberry was on the opposite side of the boulevard that the newer hospital was. So let's say you're going from Thornton up to Roosevelt Boulevard, on that side of the boulevard, over to the right, past Benjamin Rush State Park, back in the woods. That's where the original buildings were. And that abandoned prison farm is back in there. So that was originally related to Byberry Mental Hospital. Eventually, the state took over it. Well, the state actually owned it because it was a state mental hospital, a state hospital. But the prison system took over it, and they built onto what was there. It was a bank barn. And what a bank barn is, for those of you that don't know, because I didn't know until I went to this place, a bank barn is where it has two different levels in the barn, and it has a hill that goes up to the second level, but it also has an entrance on the other side to the first level. So that's a bank barn because it's on a bank. I originally thought it had something to do with like banking because I'm stupid, but it that 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 right there, and I think maybe one other building was the original. But then they built onto that, and what they did there was they farmed. They would bring people from Holmesburg prison. They would work on the farm. They would raise crops and stuff like that, and all the food that they made, all the different vegetables and everything, they went out to not only the prison system, but they also went to the Philadelphia Zoo to feed the animals as well. Um, and now it's a very much overgrown thing. There's no roofs anywhere really, outside of the bank barn. But there's not much of one there. Um, there's a root cellar right off of there too, but you can see where the pump houses were and everything like that as you walk through it and explore. But I would suggest that you, unless you don't care about like a lot of greenery, and if you put like some deep woods off on and everything, and you go in there, um, and you don't worry about ticks, then you can go in there any time of the year. But like I would suggest you go in there more so in like the fall, because then things are like dying down. You don't have to worry about spiders and ticks and stuff like that. But it's very awesome, and there's a lot of graffiti there, a lot of beer bottles and cans. But there's a lot of graffiti there, and the graffiti always changes. And a lot of the people that do it there are actually very talented artists, I will say. I mean, I'm not one for graffiti, but the people that do it there are a lot of them are pretty talented. Um, let's see, Penryn, Glenford, been to both places. Well, I haven't been in either one of the places. I've been all around Glenford on the outside. Penryn, I've gone past tons of times when I go down Station Ave, or as it's called, like it's Station Ave until you get to State Road, and then after that it's called Herringbone Road. But we just always called it Station Ave. You go down there. It's supposed to be a river access, but the ramp has been in bad shape for a lot of years. But I've gone down there quite a bit. In fact, my very first video was there, walking around the woods there, just past Penryn. But I love those woods too. I've taken hundreds, maybe thousands of pictures back there over time. But it's a great place. Let's see what Teresa's saying here. Yeah, Main Street is cool, but Main Street gets flooded a lot. At the fire, yeah, yeah. And the hill is literally right behind the firehouse, and it goes down Main Street, and that's what they're trying to protect. There's an old farm on there, um, an old barn house, and an old house that they're trying to protect. Unfortunately, the people, there was three different families, or generations of families, I should say, that owned it, and the last generation of families that did own it, they didn't want to go through the hassle, seemingly, of declaring it a historical place. They just wanted to leave it for their for their children to be able to sell and stuff like that. But if they made it a historical place, they wouldn't have been able to do that. um, that's very unfortunate, because if they did that, then this guy would not be able to touch any of that land. And now it's a little too late, because he owns that land, and it's up to the owner to do something like that. So it's like a little catch-22 there. Oh yeah. Well, you and I were there, over at Station Ave one time. Yeah, a lot of people played in that area, and now it's all private property, over at Huonville Hill. Um, I hope they at least get some leeway in this, and that they're able to bring down the amount of houses that this guy's going to make, and that it helps protect the rest of the town from flooding, because that town does get flooded a lot all along Main Street right there. Like I mean, Huonville is, there's a lot of hills, and it all goes down to Neshaminy Creek. So the people that are right along the Neshaminy Creek, including one of the people that I interviewed for that video, um, their houses get partially submerged when there's like substantial rain, or like horrific things like tornadoes and stuff like that, like we had back in 2021. And if this guy that's developing this land doesn't do things the right way, it could make things a lot worse for those people. And um, and that's just the flooding aspect. I mean, they have their school district right there. The Neshaminy School District is already at its capacity, pretty much, or past its capacity. And if they bring all these families in for these houses, where are the kids going to go? They're going to put them in Neshaminy, and it's going to overcrowd it, which is going to cause problems there. So it just seems like a no-win situation. But the township is doing very little about it because they just see dollar signs. But in the end, if they're right about the flooding aspect, it's going to wind up costing the township more money than they're going to be making off of this. So like they're seem to not be taking that into consideration. I did see it, but then I went off on a tangent. Let me go back to that. That's a very possible thing. Like if I can raise enough money um, to pay for like food and stuff like that, through being paid for the ads on my videos and getting super chats and everything from people. I can definitely see something like that happening. We can have like a meet and greet kind of thing. We're not going to get any of the pavilions. I can tell you that right now, because the two pavilions that we have at Neshaminy, from this point until next fall, they're already going to be rented every single day. So there's no hope in getting them. But there's plenty of other picnic areas. So we could definitely do that, I think. I don't see a problem with that. So 9:16. I've been on here almost an hour. Almost. And I enjoy all the banter between people. It's awesome. Hey, you know what, Teresa? We could all chip in. I mean, I know you're familiar with the park, and we've met there. Um, we could all like bring something. You know, it could work either way. Either people could donate the money to me, and then I can buy stuff and bring it, or we could just have everybody bring a little something. Like a little potato salad, some hot dogs, some buns, things like that. I will tell you that if we did that, we would have to bring like an outside barbecue, because I will not eat anything that is made on the barbecues in the park, because I've seen some things being made on those grills, and I know the fire, when you get the fire going and everything, it kind of like cleans it all, and there's no remnants. But I've seen some things cooked on there that I have no idea what they are, and it's like, you know what? No, I will never eat off of those grills. um, but like we could always bring in just like a little grill or something, like one of the little cheapy ones or whatever, just some charcoal, and that would be cool. This is true. This is true. Yeah, bring your own food. But if we're gonna do it in the state park, we can't bring any alcohol, because there's no alcohol allowed in the park. People do still bring it in. It does happen. I've picked up cases of beer, sometimes multiple cases of beer, kegs, stuff like that there. But generally, you're not allowed to bring alcohol into the state parks, any state park. Um, but yeah, I mean, like we could do that. Yeah, and as an added bonus, we could do like a little tour of the garden. I can give like what history I know of it, like a little walk around, be like, this is where the mansion was. The carriage house was here. It had a greenhouse on the back. The barn was over there. Blossom Farley's tower was over there. And like, that would be cool. So yeah, maybe I'll look to do that like in the beginning of the fall. We get done. The seasonal people get done for the year around November. As to whether or not I'm going to be a seasonal person indefinitely, I don't know. I may become a full-time person. We're going to see how things go. But yeah, we could definitely set something up for like maybe a Saturday afternoon. That way everybody's off of work and stuff, and we can all hang out. And Rich already knows how to find me there because he sees me there pretty much almost every time he's there at some point or another, even if it's just in passing. We see each other. This is Tom's World Potluck. This is Tom's potluck. Yeah, yeah, like after the pool closes, you know, um, that's my favorite time. Like when the pool closes, because then we no longer have to deal with like the onslaught of people because people stop coming. It takes a couple of weeks because people come be like, oh, the pool's closed. It's like, well, yeah, all the pools close, at the same time. So November might be better. Because then we're starting to get into hoodie time, which I love hoodie time. Obviously, right now I'm not wearing a hoodie. I didn't wear one today. I did in the beginning of the day, but the last half of the day it just got too hot. It was like 75 degrees out there or something like that today. So the hoodie came off for the first time at work this year. But yeah. Anyway, let's see what else we got going on. Oh, my merch shop. I still have not heard back from these people. I submitted my W-9 to them 3 weeks and 1 day ago. Now, a week and a day ago, I emailed them and I said, hey, it's been 2 weeks since I submitted my W-9 and I haven't heard anything from you. Eventually, they got back to me and they said, well, it can take up to 3 weeks, so please wait till then. Until then, if you have any further questions, please contact us. So I sent them an email tonight. I said, all right, it's been 3 weeks and 1 day, and I still have not heard anything from you. And until they submit that W-9, I can't open my store to put the link on here for everybody to start buying my merchandise. I want to buy some of my merchandise. I want to get a hat. I want to get one of the pillows. I want to. There's a few things I want to get. But I can't even do that until my W-9 is processed through them. So I haven't heard anything. Thanks for being here, Teresa. I appreciate you. We'll talk later about what we were talking about on the phone. Hoodies do rock. I love hoodies. All right, Squib, have a good night, brother. One of these times we'll have to do a little collab thing, since I know you don't live far from me. You live somewhere out my back window there, down in that area. That I know. I don't know exactly where, but I know you live down there somewhere. So we'll have to do that. Anyway, yeah, it should have been just over an hour, so I guess I'll wrap this up. Get out of here. I just wanted to get on here and hang out with everybody, and I just felt bad because I wanted to make a video today and I wasn't able to do that. So maybe tomorrow I'll be able to do a video. I have a couple places I'd like to go to. So we'll see what happens. It might be tomorrow, it might be the next day. We'll see. Tomorrow might be a little sketchy because tomorrow's date night with my girlfriend. So I have to make dinner for Dad and do the date night with the girlfriend. So maybe it won't be tomorrow. Maybe it'll be more Thursday. So we'll see. Anyway, thank you all for joining me, and thank you all for commenting, and I appreciated hanging out with all of you, and I hope you have a good night too, and I guess I'll talk to you all later. So just make sure you stay safe, stay healthy, and take care. See y'all later.